So I just absolutely loved the show The Summer I Turned Pretty, and so I thought it was only right that I'd give the books a go when I found out it was based on 3 books. So I got these books for Christmas, and then I read them in January, and I read them 1 book a week. So it took me 3 weeks in total, and now I'm just going to discuss with you what I thought of the 3 books. Now obviously there will be book spoilers in this video, and there'll probably be spoilers for season 1 of the show. And honestly, as far as spoilers for the rest of the show, like the 2nd season that's coming out in June, I don't know, because I don't know if they're following the books. In my head, the first season is book 1, and they do change things. So whatever I'm telling you that happens in the books might not actually be spoilers for the show, because it might not happen. They might completely change it. But I would just say, if you don't want any spoilers for the show, to be on the safe side, don't watch this. But if you're okay hearing what happens in the books, knowing that it could happen in the show but it might not, then continue. So the first book in the series is the title of the show. It is The Summer I Turned Pretty book. Now, as I said, I saw this as kind of season 1 of the show is this book, but there were a lot of things that they changed. They changed things, but also in season 1 of the show, they had things that didn't happen in this book and maybe happened in book 2 and 3, and kind of interlaced things from all of the books into season 1. Although saying that, I would still say season 1 is pretty much this book. But an example of that is that the whole thing in the show with Conrad giving Belly an infinity necklace, that doesn't happen until the 2nd book is when she finds it, and it's not until the 3rd book that she actually keeps it. So yeah, they kind of interlaced things from all the books, and I assume that was just because Jenny Han, who wrote the book and also worked on the show, didn't know if there would be a season 2, so she probably just thought, oh, let's interweave some things from the other books just in case season 1 is all we get, which I think is a pretty solid strategy. Now, while reading this book, I really did picture Belly as Belly from the show, despite the cover art. Obviously it's a white girl with brown hair, but I did picture Belly as Belly from the show, and I pictured Conrad as Conrad for the show. But funnily enough, Jeremiah, he just wasn't Jeremiah from the show. I tried my hardest. Like, I had Jeremiah in the back of my head, because obviously I've seen the show. I've seen it 3 times now. But he just looked different to me in book form, because the way he's described is just quite different to how he looks on the show, in my opinion. So while I was reading it, I almost had to remind myself to think of the show Jeremiah. So the first thing I noticed while reading this book, and kind of also the first difference from the show, is that Conrad and Jeremiah are just way more mean to Belly than they are on the show. So in the show, Stephen is quite mean to Belly, like in a brother way, but Conrad and Jeremiah are like generally just nice to her, like they're nice boys, they're nice. Not in the book. In the book, they are quite mean, especially when they're younger. And this I didn't really like in the book, because a whole reason why I loved the show is because I love the plot line of Belly being in love with Conrad since she was 10 years old, because he was kind of the eldest who was always nice to her. So then when in the book, he was never nice to her. So it's like, why are you in love with this man? I just didn't find it as nice and endearing as having loved the nice boy from your childhood since you were 10, as opposed to basically loving the mean boy from your childhood, which is essentially what it is. But yeah, as I said, in the book, he's not very nice to her, and even when he is nice to her and includes her in the boys' things, he's only doing it because it's his duty, and that's what he says, like it feels like his duty as the eldest brother, and it's not just because he's a good person, which kind of in the show I feel like it's just because he's a nice boy, but in the book it's very much, oh, I'm doing this because I have to. And yeah, it happened with Jeremiah as well. I think in the book Conrad is definitely meaner than Jeremiah, but Jeremiah is also mean, which was quite jarring for me, considering in the show him and Belly are like besties. But yeah, he was quite mean, and like a standout bit for me that makes me think about that is when they were younger, there was a summer where Belly was sick for a lot of the summer, and Susanna asked Jeremiah to spend a day with her, like just one day inside of Belly to make her feel better, and Jeremiah like really didn't want to do it and was like complaining and like hated his life. And it's like, this is not the kind-hearted boy. These are not the kind-hearted boys that I knew from the show. So yeah, that I just found that a bit disappointing. Now, my next point about this book is that I swear Belly and Taylor just hate each other. Now, in the show, I think their friendship is pretty okay. They argue, they fall out. It seems like a pretty, almost like fickle friendship in the show, but also not one that is toxic. Whereas in the book, it's toxic. Like, they literally hate each other. They're like bringing each other down, like just talking badly about each other. And it's like, you guys are best friends. Why are you best friends when you literally hate each other? So in the show, Taylor obviously comes and visits cousins in the current timeline, but in the book, that is not the case. It happens in the past. So currently in this book, Belly is turning 16, but then they look back to when they were 14, and that's when Taylor visited. And yeah, just Belly just has so many bad things to say about her supposed best friend. And then from Taylor's side, she tries to go after Conrad, even though she knows that Belly has loved him for years and years, which is just like, where's the girl code? I can't see it. Like, yeah, reading it, I think also reading it as an adult, you're just thinking, I wouldn't be friends. Like, I would not be friends with someone like this. Clearly we don't like each other. We should not be friends. And I think just like comparing it to Laurel and Beck's relationship, it just really does not hold up at all. Like, I want Belly to have that friendship that lasts forever, and this is just not it. My final point about this book is that Jeremiah and Conrad fight at the end of the book, which also happens in the show. However, in the show, it's because Jeremiah doesn't know that Susanna has cancer and Conrad knew, and like Jeremiah feels betrayed that Conrad didn't tell him. But in the book, everyone knows except for Belly, and it's not that she has cancer, it's that the cancer's come back. So she had it before, they all knew, she went in remission, but now it's come back. And the only person who didn't know was Belly. So the fight is not over that. Honestly, can I even remember what the fight was over? I think it's over Belly, but also their dad, I think, the boy's dad. So yeah, they fight in the book. But the reason why I didn't like the fight in the book is because Conrad punched Jeremiah. Now in the show, Jeremiah starts the fight and Conrad, they scuffle, but Conrad never throws hands at his little brother. And I just hated that he did that in the book. I think it really changed my perception of him as a character, because I feel like Conrad would never do that. He'd never punch his little brother. Like, he always looks after him. So the fact that he did that in the book just really put him down, in my opinion of him. And yeah, like, him just throwing a punch really ruined like the protective nature for me that Conrad is supposed to have. Overall, I really enjoyed reading this book, and like seeing how they adapted it to season 1 was really interesting, and seeing everything they changed. And I think everything that they changed was for the best and for a good reason. I feel like a few elements of this book are a bit problematic, and I think they were changed to make it current for like 2022, and I think it worked really well. Like, they added way more women. Like, there's not really many women in this book, and if they are there, they kind of don't talk very much. Added way more women, made Taylor and Belly not so toxic to each other, and made the boys not so horrible to Belly, which I just think all of it is a good thing, and I'm glad that they made the decisions that they did when bringing it to the screen. And if they hadn't have made those changes of like Conrad always being nice to Belly from the start, and like not doing it just out of duty, doing it because he's a nice person, I feel like honestly I would have been team Jeremiah, because I am team Conrad. I don't know if that came across, but I am team Conrad, firmly team Conrad, because of the show. But I feel like if they had adapted this completely truthfully, I'd probably be team Jeremiah, because Conrad in the book, he's just mean to her, and I'm not here for that. I'm here for him being a really nice boy that she's loved since she was 10. So yeah, I feel like if they hadn't have made the changes, I wouldn't have been team Conrad, which is really interesting. Also, one thing about the book is, sadly, you really don't hear much about like Laurel and Susanna's life, which that was an element of the show that I really love. The fact that the parents got like their own plot and their own like side stories and stuff. I love that, because I feel like in a lot of teen shows they don't focus on the parents, which obviously they're focusing on the teens because they think it's teens that are watching it. But I'm watching it like as a 22-year-old, and I watched it with my mum. So it was nice that, like, I don't know, there was an older storyline and a younger storyline. I just really loved the mother's storyline, and it's not in the book. Like, you really don't hear much about it at all. So that's a change that I really liked for the show. I also really liked the ending of this book. It was pretty similar to the show, except Jeremiah and Belly never kiss. He kind of tells his feelings to her, and then she's like, no, I'm in love with Connie forever and always. Yeah, I really liked the ending. I thought it was really nice. It was really hopeful and nice, very much like the show, I would say. So yeah, overall, it was a good read. Now moving on to the second book in the series, which is It's Not Summer Without You. Now I'm going to give you a basic plot summary of this book just because I assumed you've seen the show, The Summer I Turned Pretty, so I assumed you'd know what happens in book 1 because it's pretty much season 1 of the show. But this one has not been adapted. I assume it will be season 2 will kind of follow this. Who knows? But yeah, I'll give you a basic plot. So in this book, it's summer again the next year, and basically now Conrad's gone to university, Belly's on her last year of secondary school, and Conrad and Belly have started dating. But then they break up, and they break up because of many reasons, one of which I will go into, but I kind of don't just want to spring it on you like this. But yeah, stuff happens, they break up, and Conrad goes to a summer school for his college. And it's summer, Belly's at home, they're not in Cousins anymore because of what's happened. They kind of didn't want to go to Cousins that year, and I think like Belly and Stephen are just working, and like Jeremiah's, I don't actually know what Jeremiah's doing. He's probably, I don't know, I have no clue what Jeremiah is doing. Anyway, yeah, so it's summer and they're in Boston, they're not in Cousins. I think they're in Boston anyway. Is that where Belly and Stephen live? I know that's where Conrad and Jeremiah live. I don't know. I think they live in Boston. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure where they live. And basically, Belly gets a call from Jeremiah being like, Conrad's gone missing, I need your help to find him. So the plot of this is essentially a Belly and Jeremiah road trip trying to find Conrad. Of course, they find out he's in the summer house. They go to find him, and it's about them trying to convince him to basically not give up and go back to school because he's like quit his summer school. But there's like deeper stuff to it than that. Like their dad is selling the house, and that's why he's in the house, because he's trying to stop it from being sold, and like all of this stuff. So it's essentially a road trip. Belly and Jeremiah, they're finding Conrad, they're trying to make Conrad feel better. It's essentially the plot of this one. Now, this one was probably my least favourite of the 3. I just found it the most boring, and I think it's because I really love the vibe of being in Cousins, the summer vibes, all of that, and there just wasn't much of that in this because it's like a road trip. They do go to Cousins, but it's just depressing. It's just, this is the most depressing book in my opinion. The most depressing, the most dull. And yeah, just like a depressing time, which you'll find out why when I tell you. And also for me, my favourite dynamic, at least from the show and in the book as well, being honest, is Belly and Conrad. And there's not much Belly on Conrad in this book. It's very much more Belly and Jeremiah. So obviously less of my ship, so I just found it less intriguing. Also, Conrad is obviously missing for a lot of the book, and I love Conrad. So that also contributed to the fact that it was my least favourite. But yeah, as I said, this book is probably the bleakest of the 3, the most depressing, and it made me cry a lot. And now we'll get into why that was. So, the second page of this book is so brutal. Like, I read this and it just killed me. Like, I think I literally, like, I had to take a step back. I was like, oh my God, I was shocked. I was not expecting it from this book, from this type of writing, to just hit me with this like bombshell that it was. And I'm going to read it to you so you can experience it with me if you haven't read the book yourself. So the book opens up with Belly and Cousins. Everything's perfect. She's there with her parents, her mum, Susanna, her brother. Jeremiah and Conrad have just been surfing and they've come back. And this is what happens. He squatted next to me and said, he being Conrad, I can't tell, let me see. And then he peered at my face in his serious Conrad way. He leaned in and he kissed me, and his lips were cold and salty from the ocean. Then Jeremiah said, you guys need to get a room. But I knew he was joking. He winked at me as he came from behind, lifted Conrad up and launched him into the pool. Jeremiah jumped in too, and he yelled, come on, Belly. So of course I jumped in too. The water felt fine, better than fine, just like always. Cousins was the only place I wanted to be. Hello? Did you hear anything I just said? I opened my eyes. Taylor was snapping her fingers in my face. Sorry, I said. What were you saying? I wasn't in Cousins. Conrad and I weren't together, and Susanna was dead. Yes. that is what I read. And let me tell you, I was taken aback a little bit. Just so like brutal, so like upfront about how Susanna has passed away. So that's why the book is depressing as hell, because Susanna passes away, which is very upsetting. Watching the show, I really hoped she wasn't, and I was hopeful that she wasn't going to pass away. And yeah, just reading that, I was shattered. I was so sad. So yeah, this book is the most depressing because it's got a lot of grief embedded within it, which is obviously really, really sad. So yeah, that is the reason. But God, that second page killed me. Like, I felt like Jenny was punching me in the gut. Like, God, Jenny, that was brutal. And yeah, it's just sad in general, like with the grief. And it's also like a lot of it is seeing like how Belly and Conrad's relationship disintegrated and like failed, and like a lot of it is because he's grieving and stuff, and it's just overall like a sad time. And as I said, it was my least favourite. However, I loved the drama. Like, I didn't dislike it, it was just my least favourite, but I loved the drama at the end, because there's like drama about Belly kissing Jeremiah, but she still loves Conrad, and like they both like her, and just so much drama. I was loving it. I was living for the drama at the end. It was so good. And at the end of this book, Belly ends up with Jeremiah, or at least that's what is suggested, that's what's implied, and therefore I did not like the ending, because I am Team Conrad. So I did not really like the ending, but because I know in my heart that Conrad was endgame, and also I saw a comment of someone saying that Conrad is endgame, so I took their word for it. I found it to just be like filler, basically, because I knew like, oh, well, you're gonna find your way back to Conrad, so this is just a Jeremiah phase. So yeah, it was filler for me, which is probably also a reason why it was my least favourite, because it's kind of filler, not as exciting. And yeah, that was the second book. Now moving on to the final book, which is We'll Always Have Summer. Now I'll give you a brief plot summary as I did before. So in this one, I think we're going forward, I think it just says a couple of years, but basically Belly has just had her first year at college. Jeremiah's like I think he's in his second year, just finished his second year. Conrad's away. I think he's at uni in California, I believe is where he is. So he's away. Where are they? I don't know where they're at uni. I don't think they're that far away from like where they live. And basically Jeremiah and Belly have been together for the whole first year of college. They basically got together from the second book up until this, and they hang out together all the time. He's in a fraternity, and she like sleeps his fraternity all the time. They're together, very much in love. It's all cute. And then what happens is Belly finds out that Jeremiah slept with someone else. They went on a break, very much Ross and Rachel. They went on a break for a week, and he literally slept with someone else. So she finds this out and is heartbroken, kind of like wants to end it. And in a desperate attempt for it not to end, Jeremiah ends up proposing to Belly to marry him, which was crazy. I was so surprised. Honestly, I was so surprised about that. So they're like, yes, let's get married. Tell everyone. The whole family's not on board. And the book is basically them trying to convince everyone that they should get married, while Belly is all the time doubting it, because she kind of still likes Conrad, and she basically moves to cousins to plan her wedding and get away from her mum, who is not for the wedding. Conrad is there too. So they spend the summer together, and feelings obviously arise. So that's the plot of the final book. Now, the first thing that I made a note of was I asked, why are Belly and Taylor still friends? So Taylor goes to the same uni as her. I just questioned, why are they still friends? They literally hate each other. But yes, Taylor is still here. They are friends. They go to the same uni, and they spend a lot of time together. That being said, though, I do feel like in this book, Taylor really made up for her past behaviour. Although Belly was also toxic. Like, it wasn't just Taylor, and Belly kind of didn't do anything to reconcile. But anyway, Taylor definitely stepped up in this book. She was like the maid of honor. She was planning everything for Belly. She was very supportive, very there. Taylor in this book, well done Jenny. I don't hate Taylor anymore. I then wrote, I couldn't believe that Jeremiah slept with someone else, and I couldn't, like, that hurt my soul. Even though I'm Team Conrad, I still think Jeremiah is a great character. I think he's a great person. So the fact that he did that was very upsetting and disappointing. Even though they were on a break, they were literally on a break for a week, and he slept with someone else. Like, that's just terrible to me. And him and Belly have not slept together yet in this book. So, like, he slept with someone else and hasn't even slept with her. And it's just, yeah, just very, very upsetting to me. that revelation was. When he proposed, I was so surprised, and it was not what I expected at all from this book. I think this book definitely had more twists and turns than I expected. Like, I just did not think a marriage plot was gonna be involved in any way. Oh, another thing I made a note of is when Conrad finds out that Jeremiah and Belly are engaged, he's obviously upset because he's still in love with her. He's loved her his whole life. And he thinks to himself, Jeremiah's marrying my girl. And I just thought, hold on a second. No, Conrad. I'm Team Conrad, but no. She is not your girl. If you wanted her to be your girl, you could make her your girl. You left. You treated her badly. She is not your girl. If you want her to be your girl, do better. Like, that just annoyed me. I love Conrad, but him being possessive like that, it was like, you have no right because you did not put the effort in and you didn't try hard enough. So no, she is not your girl at all. The end of this book really, really made me cry. So as you can imagine, Conrad ends up confessing his feelings to Belly. Like, he still loves her, always has, because she kind of believed that he didn't anymore, even though it's very obvious that he does. Yeah, so he confesses his feelings to her, and I've written down a quote of what he said because I feel like you need to feel it with me. Yeah, these quotes had me sobbing. So he says, I don't know if I'll ever get you out of my system, not completely. I have this feeling that you'll always be here. Conrad clawed at his heart and then dropped his hand. Like, I'm sorry, that's sad. Then another one I wrote down. Hoarsely, he said, I need you to know that no matter what happens, it was worth it to me. Being with you, loving you, it was all worth it. Like, how am I not meant to be Team Conrad? Even though book Conrad is not as good as show Conrad. How am I not meant to be Team Conrad when he pulls stuff like that? Like, that killed me. And yeah, the wedding, as you can imagine, there's a lot of drama because Conrad confesses his feelings. Conrad finds out that Jeremiah cheated on Belly and is very upset about that. Jeremiah finds out that Conrad still likes her because he kind of thought that he didn't anymore. Jeremiah realizes that Belly still likes Conrad. Like, there's just so much drama, but I was living for it. I was loving it. The wedding drama was very good, and Jenny did a really good job of, like, will they, won't they? Like, at one point I was like, they might actually get married. Like, what the hell? Like, but they don't. Spoiler alert, they don't get married, which I think is for the best. She was literally, I think she's 18. Like, why are you getting married? So they don't get married, which is really good. They end up breaking up because she just still loves Conrad. He is the one. And then at the end, her and Conrad end up together, I'm very happy to say, which I kind of knew anyway. And they end up getting married when she's 23, which is still very young. Like, I'm literally going to be 23 in a week. Very young. But yeah, she's with Conrad, so I'm happy. And it was really cute, the ending, and like them at the end was very adorable. And although I love the end, I did just feel like I just wanted more. Like, I just wanted more moments of Conrad and Belly, because I feel like there weren't enough. Like, it was a lot of them arguing, them falling out, like all of that stuff. I just wanted more of them just being happy, and there wasn't that much, but it's okay because we have the TV show. And even in just season 1 of the TV show, they gave more of them being happy, in my opinion, than this whole series of books. So yeah, and we've got another season coming, so hopefully there'll be more happy times for them to come. So that was what I thought of each book individually, and now I will just conclude. So as I said, I think book 2 is my least favourite, and then book 1 was my favourite, with book 3 being a close second. I think they're very close, book 1 and book 3, but the only reason that book 1 just like beats it is because it's just way more happy. Like, Susanna's alive, it's summer, well, it's summer in all of them, but it's just, she's young, she's turning 16, it's so innocent, it's still like, I don't know, it feels more innocent, it feels more happy and like positive, and I just love that, and that's what I think was really well encapsulated in the show as well, and a reason why I love the show. So yeah, it just has to be book 1 as the best for me, but book 3 was close up there, and then book 2 wasn't even bad, it was just the worst of the bunch, I would say. And just in like book 2 and book 3, there's more parts away from the summer house. Like, pretty much the whole of book 1 is the summer house, they're in the house, but in book 2 and book 3 there's more time away from the house, and I love every moment in the house, so I'm just like, bring it back to the house, like I want more of that. So the fact that there was less in those 2 books, like, it was just obvious that I wasn't going to like it as much. I must say, reading the books does make me a little scared for the show and what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to kill off Susanna. I don't know if they'll do it in season 2. I don't know if they'll do it in season 3, if there is going to be a season 3. I think there will be a season 3 though. Like, I don't know if that's going to happen. I really hope it doesn't, but I just feel like they might follow the book. Even though they've changed stuff, they have kept, like, the bare bones story. So I'm just really scared because I don't want her to die in the show. I'll be very sad, but yeah, we'll see what happens and what they decide to do with that. I also don't know if Jeremiah and Belly will get engaged in the show. I feel like that's something that the TV show characters would never do. Like, I think that's why I was so surprised that they got engaged in the book, because thinking of the characters on the show, I was like, no way. Like, you two would not get engaged. It just really didn't feel like what they do. Like, not... I didn't think that they wouldn't be together. It was just the getting engaged at like 18. I'm like, no, I don't see that for them at all. So yeah, I don't know if they'll continue that into the show either. And one thing that I didn't mention that I really hope they do include in the show, and include it a bit more, because they kind of did touch on it in season 1, but I kind of want more, is the relationship between Conrad and Laurel. I feel like especially if Susanna does end up passing away, they'll be able to show that more because he'll need the support from her. But in the book, they just talk about what a great relationship they have and have always had, and how he was obviously the first child, and he used to call like Laurel his girlfriend and like follow her around the house and say, she's my Laura. And it was just like, hearing that was so lovely and kind of made me like Conrad a bit more, to know that he does have that side. So yeah, I really hope they explore that in the show, because that their relationship is so nice to me. Overall, I would recommend the books, especially the 2nd and 3rd if you want to cry, and just all of them if you want some, like, I say tedious drama. It's only tedious in the fact, like, you know, like, it's in every romance novel where like they're like, oh, he doesn't like me, even though it's obvious that he does. Like, it's that type of drama where the whole book is, he doesn't like me, she doesn't like me, even though they do. Like, tedious in that way, but still really good and really entertaining. And also mainly read it if you want more The Summer I Turned Pretty content, which is what I did, because I love that show so much. Even reading the books, I want to watch it again. So I just wanted more, and the books gave me that, and it was a very nice experience to be able to read about the characters as well. And now I've run out of content, so that's really sad. So I'm just counting down the days until, I think it's June, could be July, hopefully it's June, when season 2 comes out, because I'm going to be there. I'm going to be ready. Cannot wait. Those were the Summer I Turned Pretty book trilogy and me reading them, so you don't have to. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, give the books a go if they interest you. I think they're worth a read. Very entertaining, and if you want to cry, they can help you through that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.